everyone, this is Tanya the Lady Strange. Welcome to my outer room. It's a bit cold and windy out this morning, so I could not enjoy my backyard as much as I wish to. But hey, this is my temple space, my working space, my magic space, and entry to my home. So I'm very happy to be in this room. So with that being said, this is the weekly collective reading. Take what resonates with that, leave behind what doesn't. Not everything applies to everyone or every circumstance, but this is a general advisory energies of the week that are going to present themselves from today, the 27th of April, 2025, to this Saturday, which is the 3rd. Yes, the 3rd of May already. So, already. And Beltane this week, a hinge day for me. I celebrate certain holidays. I don't follow the wheel of the year. I feel what I'm connected to and guided, which is traditionally Beltane and Samhain, the hinge days, I consider them. But also with, of course, Yule more recently. That feels more that energy too. Interesting how one's practice, spiritual practice, or energies or routines change as we all change and evolve. So with that being said, before this gets too rambling, this week I'll be using the Citadel Oracle as an archetype to represent this collective and to see if this resonates with you. Don't mind the camera being a bit shaky. It is what it is. You can pull some of that. Oh, here we go already. Throwing cards, aren't we? Well, the Lovers jumped. Lovers, when I have a message, if that's for anyone in specific. A crossroads, a unity, a decision, a relationship. And so that's from the Thoth or Thoth deck. I say Thoth, that's what I've said since I've been using the deck since I've been 18. That's my trimmed version, not my original version. She's away. And also, of course, the Fallen Angels Oracle. These are going to be as a conjunctive clarifier for this reading. I've already connected with my spirits and channeling, plus I've already done my new moon ritual offerings in connection with the deities, my main patroness and patron, Hades and Hecate. So I'm already connected and feeling the energy and connected across the veil. So let's see what this collective, including myself, what represents this collective this week, and also to see if this actually resonates with you or you're part of this collective, which is fine either way. What is the representative energies, empowering energies, guiding energies, or one may come into contact with themselves or energies that represent this collective this coming week? That one spoke to me. So we have the Chiromancer, which is delivering news and collaboration. So delivering news and collaboration. This is a great oracle deck, highly recommended. I got to work with it more. But yes, it's not just great for archetypes, but also for energies, clarification, and path working. That's a big part of my practice if you watch any of my previous videos. The human journey and the human evolution and growth and in this ever-changing world is an important part to path work to have a better life experience that we must, no matter despite the challenges. So this is, as we mentioned, the Chiromancer. So delivering news and also collaboration. So if you're like myself, I work in customer service. I am on the phone, so I deal all day with customers. Let's put it that way. I give them a lot of advice. I listen. I relay information. I clarify information. So that's what this applies to for me and the collaboration that I work with others. But this is also delivering news. So this collective is, I feel, is great at delivering news, conveying messages in an appropriate way for each circumstance or people or situations they may encounter, whether they are pleasant or unpleasant and in between. You embody the strength of words, utterance, and truth, but also in the aspect of collaboration. You're great at collaborating with the details on here, collaborating with others with energies and the circumstances that present themselves. So I do see that a big part of this energy for this collective that this represents this coming weekend energies is the ability to collaborate with others in the seen and the unseen and the experiences that we move through, but also the ability and to be discerning without being disconcerting of messages and how we relay and how we interpret those messages that are to us. We have the ability to discern what's being relayed to us, and we have the ability to deliver messages and news in our daily lives, our relationships, and our experiences. So again, knowledge is power. Words are power. Relaying news. And news will be delivered to this collective also, I feel. So let's see, now that we have the archetype and the general energies of this collective and what to embody and walk with and wield effectively this week, let's see what this actual collective has from the Thoth, whatever the case, Tanya, like myself, just as an example. Either way, I answer so with the deck. So let's see here. What is the central key energy, message, and guidance for this upcoming week for this collective to have an effective, empowered week, no matter what, and to move through the experiences, no matter what they may be, and the daily life circumstances, energies, and past and other people's and relationships, and how other people's and circumstances affect us. How can we have the most effective, empowered week, or what may come into play that for us to be mindful of and discern? That's most important. But that's what I'm being told. And we have the Luxury card, or the Four of Cups. Thoth. Well, I'm just going to say Thoth. The Thoth deck is still always my favorite soul and magic deck. It was my first deck. It will be my last deck. It will be always the foundation. So I love, between Lady Freda Harris and Aleister Crowley, it is true magic, true lust, true beauty, true seeing beyond, and a different perspective, and connecting with oneself, one's psyche, one's magic, and also the relative symbolism that's hidden within the cards up in front, or you're always learning something new with this deck as you learn something new about yourself and others in human life experience every day. So this Four of Cups here is talking about luxury. Now, cups have to do with emotional experiences, emotional experiences, interactions, interpersonal relationships, and intuitive energies. Now, this one says luxury. Now, typically the Four of Cups is, in at least the Rider-Waite-Smith, is more so about contemplation, stillness, being offered something and potentially not taking it, or seeing maybe what's not right in front of you, or concentrating on what you may or may not have, sort of before you get to that Five of Cups energy. Well, this Four of Cups is saying that despite this, focus on this week the luxury of what you do have, the abundance of those positive aspects of your relationship, the positive aspects that you can acknowledge and face your feelings, and also those feelings of others, but the luxury of being able to feel that. Some people just don't acknowledge your feelings or acknowledge your relationships, or let things flow. This is telling me this is about flowing and abundance and the ability to flow through circumstances and the luxuries that we do have and the creature comforts that we do have and the ability of the relationships that we have and how we all affect one another in some way, big or small, in the daily experiences. So again, despite maybe not seeing fully what's in front of you or being uncertain, it's best to go with the flow this week. There is going to be some challenges, I do believe, and some news that may be coming to ourselves here in this collective and that we may present to many others. But again, we have that strength, like I said, that passion, that will, and most of all, that logic and discernment, which comes from our own experiences and our own wisdom in this life. So that's the Four of Cups. So that's the energy and central energies of the week. And let's see what the Fallen Angels Oracle has as a final clarifier, how we can incorporate that Four of Cups energy and emotions and flow into this week's experiences while we embody our abilities and capabilities of delivering and receiving news and collaborating with others in energies and, of course, experience and wisdom and our responsibilities. How we can collaborate with our experiences and others, no matter what our lives may be like. Okay. So we have danger. Interesting. And bottom. Danger and conflict. Quite interesting as to that energy I was feeling otherwise. So there is a potential for going with that. Remember, I just said a minute, 2-3 minutes ago, potentially into this, saying that I did feel some underlying presence and energies. I know that, let's just put it this way, in my life and my job, I'm definitely at the brink of that starting this week, and I already have been. So it's mainly to do with my job and, of course, my experience. So as I'm part of this collective. But it's telling me that, to clarify, don't fall into the dangers or conflicts of others or how other things are. And again, like the Four Cups, go with the flow, find the luxury, the abundance that you have, and that inner well of emotions and experience that you can bring to the table. The world is full of conflict. It will always be, as we are humans, and us humans create conflict or do our best to move through the conflicts that we may or may not create. It's saying the dangers of don't give in to too much of overthinking or being overly still or reflective because you don't want to not react either. It's about embracing that flow and about being receptive, listening to your inner voice, your outer voice, and the voice of others, and that news. A lot of news coming in this week, I feel. It could be some potentially conflicting energies or things we may not want to see, experience, or hear, or give news to others, but I feel we will get through it. I feel that despite struggle and adversity, the best thing to do is to move through one step at a time in a healthy, effective, and empowered way. That's how you can wield true magic, is facing one step at a time and being reflective, receptive, and responding effectively instead of reacting ineffectively, as I like to say, and guide myself through. So it's going to be an interesting mix of energies I see this week, but this collective is strong. This collective is full of knowledge, wisdom, experience, and discernment. So again, stay strange. And if you like this or any of my other previous content or reading, please like, comment, subscribe, as it helps my channel grow. I'm a small channel, and yes, the algorithm doesn't find me very favorable. But with that being said, stay strange and have a wonderful week.